Hello, and welcome back to more Sewing with Michelle. This week is all about half square triangles. They're one of my favorite little elements to make for a quilt block, and they're so important to learn because they're used in so many different patterns out there. So this week, I brought in a tool, one of my favorites to make half square triangles, and that's the Tucker trimmer. I love this ruler, and I use it all the time. I can't wait to show you how this tool is going to help you make precise half square triangles. Let's get going on this week's More Sewing with Michelle. So, I want to talk a little bit about half square triangles, why it's so important to learn them, and to talk a little bit what they can do for your quilting. Now, a lot of times in patterns, if you pick up a pattern, you may see that it says half square triangle because, like I said, they're a fundamental piece to a lot of quilt blocks out there. So this is going to show you what exactly half square triangles are, which are these two things here. Oftentimes you'll see that they have contrast in fabrics, but not all the time. I've done a lot of quilts where it's just two different pieces of fabrics and you work it with that particular quilt that you're working on. So half square triangles. Now to start, basically you're going to have two pieces. You'll see on this one very closely I have a line written on it, and then oftentimes, now keep in mind I probably know I think at least 4 or 5 different ways to make half square triangles. This is just one of the ways. It's kind of like most things. There's more than one way to do things, and this is just one of them, but this is going to be one that's pretty precise. So I drew the line with a ruler from corner to corner on my half square triangle, and then basically I'm going to sew on each side that when you open them up, you get that. And I'm going to give you a demo later on actually the process of doing it. But that's how it starts off. 2 different pieces of fabrics, you end up with your half square triangles. Now, half square triangles, like I said, they're pretty important in quilt blocks. And I got a few of them that I went ahead and put together. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So these are all made with 4 half square triangles. So this one is a building block, and this would be for like a chevron. You can notice if I added several all across, you're going to get that whole zigzag image. So half square triangles. The next is an hourglass block. Once again, those 4 half square triangles repositioned in a different way, and you get a completely different looking block. Then you can make flying geese with half square triangles. I don't know if everyone knew that. So this is, once again, 4 half square triangles put in different areas, and that way you get that flying geese unit. Then we have square and a square. So, but the center square is on point. So once again, the 4 blocks put together, and you get a completely different looking finished block. Now this one is a 4 patch with half square triangles. I don't even want to go over what the name of this block is because traditional quilt blocks and what modern quilters have named them, it varies so much. So I'm just going to call it a 4 patch using half square triangles. But you can see that could be something pretty dramatic if you have it going across a large area. And then I have to say, hands down, my favorite thing to do with half square triangles is to make a pinwheel. And once again, it's just those 4 half square triangles put in different positions, and you get that wonderful pinwheel. So you can see this is just a tidbit, and this is just a starting point for making quilt blocks. So with that, I went ahead and I made a larger little table topper with the half square triangles. So you can see I just made this star, and once again, using those half square triangles with other elements, you're going to make lots of different things. And then another thing, remember I showed you the chevron? I think it's way up front here in the little thing. So this little piece here. Now I use this one to make a small little baby quilt. with a bunch of different pieces of the chevron. So you can see, let me hold it this way. These little half square triangles are going to be so important when you're quilting. And that's why it's important to get the precision down, and so that you can use them throughout your quilting, not be frightened of them, and you're going to know how to make a precise half square triangle. So that's just a little chat about half square triangles. And like I said, this was just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other things that you can make. And at the very end of the video, I have another quilt block where I used half square triangles, but I used a bunch of them, and I've made a really interesting quilt block. So let's get going on talking about the Tucker trimmer. Okay, so like I promised, the Tucker trimmer. Love this thing. Now, Debbie Tucker formed her company in 2008, and it basically stemmed from her vast expertise in quilting. She had been quilting for many, many years, and she wanted a tool that would help her with precision. And she realized if you cut something a little bit bigger, sewn it, and then trimmed it down to size, it would make things more precise in the long run with minimal amount of waste. And you'll see in the video that I show you that after I've trimmed all these up, there's hardly any waste involved at all. So that's what's wonderful about it. Now, the Tucker trimmer makes 11 sizes of half square triangles, and those sizes range from 1.5 inch all the way to 6.5 inch. Now, the ruler itself in one direction will do half sizes, and the other direction will be whole sizes. The whole sizes have the dark black line, whereas the half sizes have the dash line. So it's really easy to remember what size you're working, as well as you can see all those marks on this ruler very clearly when you're using it. Now, precision, accuracy, that's what we want with our half square triangles, and that's what you're going to get with this tool. So, like I said, we're going to cut things a little bit bigger, we're going to sew them together, and then we're going to square them up for precise half square triangles. So I've gone ahead and I have the two pieces of fabric, and basically these are 4 inches, and I am going to put them together right sides together, and like so that they are precisely. And then I am going to turn around and sew. So let me go ahead and put a pin in here so that I make sure that nothing shifts along the way. So I'm going to put a little pin, and once again, when I pin my pins, I make sure that those tips are away from where I'm sewing. So I leave them 1/4 inch away. Now my machine is set up with just a straight line. I am going to drop the stitch length down to 2.1. And I'm also going to make the needle. If you have this option, it's always wonderful to do. I'm dropping my needle to the 1/4 inch position. So that way it's going to sew 1/4 inch from the side of the foot. So then all that I have to do is line up that side of the foot with the pencil line. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to drop it. And just very easily, I sewed one side, and then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to sew the other side. Let me cut. And then you can see that I've sewn on both sides of that line. The next step you do is you're going to trim it. Now I have a little video while I'm trimming that's going to show you how you can sew all of these half square triangles in a string piece fashion. And you can see I've done that. I have a long line of them when I was making these samples, and I would sew one side, I would get done, I would flip it over, and I would string piece the next side. So roll that video here. So I went ahead, and now what I did was I cut on that line where the pencil was straight down the center, and now I have two pieces that are sewn together. So taking this over, let me move my machine out of the way, and I'm going to pull over my little mat and my iron. I'm going to iron these open, and I always like to open them up to where the seam is on the dark side, especially with half square triangles. So I'm just going to go ahead, give it a quick press, and then I will do the other side too. Open it up. Now for this particular block, I do not open up the seams. I leave it all to one side. And there you have, basically, you could stop here and have half square triangles, but we are going to take it another step, and we are going to trim these up. So let me put my iron away. Let me turn it off. Let me put my wool mat away. Turn off my machine, and presto changeo, now I've got a cutting station set up. And I think what I'm going to do is turn it over to the dark side. I'm going to go Darth Vader on us. So I have the two half square triangles. Now what I'm going to do is show you how to use this Tucker trimmer to trim these up for that precise half square triangle. Okay, so we started off with 4-inch squares, and we've sewn them, so we've lost a little bit around the way. So now what I'm going to do is going to line it up to 3.5. Now there's a line straight down the center, and I'm going to line that up with that center area. Use my rotary cutter and simply trim up around my block. Give it a quick flip. Go ahead, once again, using that 3.5-inch mark and making sure that center is completely in the center field. Trim up this block. And there you have it. It's a perfect 3.5-inch square, half square triangle. And let me do the last one real quick. So once again, I'm going to take that, and I'm lining up that center black line to the 3.5-inch mark, making sure that I have enough all the way around, and then I go ahead and trim. So like I said, on this block, I started off with 4-inch squares to start off with, and I'm trimming them up to 3.5. And once again, a perfectly precise half square triangle. So it's that easy. It's super, super easy and effective when using this wonderful ruler, the Tucker trimmer, to get precise half square triangles by using what Deb Tucker invented, basically taking a block, cutting it a little bit larger, sewing it together, and then squaring up that block to the precise size that you need. And with that, like I said, there's lots of different ways why your block may shift out of alignment. It could be your machine, it could be the fabric stretched, it could be that you didn't sew a completely straight line. But with this ruler, having those marks and making sure that everything is precise, it's going to give you that forgiveness and also help you square up those blocks so that when you sew them together, you're going to have a more precise quilt block. And I love that. As you can see, the quilt in back of me here is nothing but half square triangles. And I started off with a 5-inch block. I squared them up to 4.5. It makes a herringbone pattern, the quilt in back of me. And I did this like a bunch of them, obviously, and just randomly put them together. So with these wonderful blocks, I showed you before how you can make lots of different blocks with them. You can make one all the way edge to edge and just have it nothing be but the half square triangles, or you can create them to make different, more advanced quilt blocks. It's completely up to you. Lots of things that you can do with these half square triangles. So Deb Tucker's Tucker Trimmer is such a valuable tool, and I know you understand now how it's going to help you create these half square triangles with precision and accuracy, which will lead to a quilt that is more precise, where you'll see your points and everything will line up a little bit easier. Now, Deb Tucker, like I said, there's 11 sizes in this ruler that you can make as far as half square triangles, from 1.5 inch all the way to 6.5 inch. I'm going to show you a video real quick that shows you all those sizes and my cutting.
Okay, so this is all of the sizes this wonderful Tucker trimmer makes. So there's 11 sizes, and in the back there, look, that's all of the scraps that we have. Not a lot. So I know a lot of people think when you trim stuff up, you're going to have a ton of wasted fabric. That's not the case. It's just little scripts and little snippets from the sides that when you square it up, look at this block when it's squared up. It is just precise, and that's what we're going for, precision. So let me show you all the sizes. So we have this size, and we go up from here. Whoops, if I can pick them up. Just amazing what you can do with this one ruler. 11 sizes of half square triangles. 11. And there you go. That's it. Those are the 11 sizes of the half square triangles.
So isn't that cool? And you wouldn't think if you're squaring something up that you're going to have lots of waste. You really don't using this ruler, because you're just making sure that those edges are precise. I love it. And using your scraps, there's not going to be many scraps left over when you use this. So it's a great tool for your arsenal as far as quilting. Now, to pick your Tucker trimmer up, you have two options. You can click on the link in the description or go to moors-sew.com, where you can pick up your Tucker trimmer so you can make precise half square triangles too. So I wanted to share, remember I said at the very beginning of this video how pinwheels are one of my favorite things to make with half square triangles. So you're going to take a triangle, you're going to use 4 of them to make the pinwheel. Now keep in mind, remember I made all of those half square triangles. What I wanted to do was show you with this Tucker trimmer, how you can create all these different pinwheels. So I went ahead and I took all of those half square triangles and I created pinwheels, 11 sizes. So we have the 2.5. Isn't that sweet? And I'm going to show you real quick here how I was piecing them together. So take a look at the video and I'll be right back. So you can see just how easy it is to sew these pinwheels together. The basic thing you want to make sure of when you're sewing them together is that the half square triangles are in the right direction. So what I like to do is I lay all 4 of them out next to my sewing machine, fold them over. You may want to pin the side that you're going to sew together. Fold the other one over, and that way it reduces the use of using your Jack the Ripper to undo if you sew them together in the wrong position. But they're fun once you get them going. They're going to be just a cinch for you to make. And like I said, we have the 2.5, and it goes up from there. Isn't that sweet? I just love pinwheels, and I've used lots of pinwheels in lots of different quilts. I have made quilts from start to finish, designing them on my own. And oftentimes I will find that I absolutely leave room for one of my favorite blocks, the pinwheels. Now, one of the fun things is at Christmas time, take your pinwheel and make it look like candy. So use red and white, which is a lot of fun. And then this is the largest size, 12 and a half. Look at that pinwheel. And because of the Tucker trimmer, look at the points. It's just precise. I'll show you the back side. It's just fun. And like I said, making pinwheels with those half square triangles is one of my favorite blocks to make. They're a fun, festive block that works with almost everything. And you will also see that when you start using different quilt patterns, that these pinwheels and half square triangles, you're going to see them everywhere now. So half square triangles into pinwheels. It's just a fun thing to do with your Tucker trimmer. Okay, so what a whirlwind this episode of More Sewing with Michele is. We've gone from the Tucker trimmer that has 11 sizes of half square triangles, and of that I went and showed you different ways that when you put those triangles together, you can get different quilt blocks. And then I went into my favorite, the pinwheel. And then I also showed you different ways that you can take those half square triangles, put them together, make stars or other blocks. I also showed you how you can make a chevron, this fun baby quilt. And then I also teased you at the very end of this video how I was going to show you how you take half square triangles together. Keep in mind, this is the only block on here, and I think I used 28 different half square triangles, put them together in different areas, and I created this wonderful quilt block. Isn't that fun? It's just a fun block, once again, with nothing but half square triangles and a little sashing. And we'll have a picture, still picture, so you can see just how easy it is to put these half square triangles together and make this wonderful, fun block. So it's been my pleasure, as usual, to be the host for you for More Sewing with Michele. I hope you enjoyed this segment because I sure did love showing you what my passion is with half square triangles and how you can use them to create wonderful things for quilting. And with that said, I will see you next week on More Sewing with Michele, Monday at 10 o'clock. And until then, bye-bye.